carry companion to shore. Let's do the 4 limitless contemplations. May all beings have happiness and create the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and creating the causes of suffering. May they find that noble happiness, which can never be tainted by suffering. May they attain universal, impartial compassion, free of worldly bias towards friends and enemies. Semjen damje dewatang dewe jutang den ba jutik, dungal tang dungal chichu tang trawa jutik, dungal mepe dewa tampatang mindrawa jutik, nering chaktang nitan trawe tang no chempo lane pa jutik. Okay, lovely to see that some people could join tonight, and even with all our hectic load shedding. And tonight we're going to look at Yeshe Tsogyal questions Guru Padmasambhava on many relevant subjects. And this is a fascinating Theravada teaching, but it must come with discussion from all of you. And you know what I want to say to all of you, if you can switch on your cameras, I know with the load shedding, it's really hard. It really makes a difference, because then I can see what you're feeling, what you're thinking. And some people say they're in bed and they're in their pajamas, and that's why they can't switch on their cameras. And let me say to you, if you're in bed in your pajamas, even better, okay? Even better, because after all, Dharma should be part of your everyday life. It should be part of your bed. It should be part of everything. Even if you're starving and you want to eat a little bit, please do, because this is your group. This is your home. And as long as you're doing everything mindfully, I'm very, very happy. I know some people come home from work, they haven't had time to eat and they can't wait to end because it's awful. Just do whatever you have to. And if you're in your pajamas in your bed, it's wonderful. It means you're taking this into your sleep state, which is really important. So I want to tell you all about this teaching, but I really want you to discuss as much as possible, because again, this year, if I don't have all of you really applying this to your lives, there's no point. There's no point in some theoretical discussion about what Guru Rinpoche does with Yeshe Tsogyal, because remember, when Yeshe Tsogyal asks her questions, she already knows the answer. She's doing it purely so that she can record everything he says so that we can get the answers. And I think some of these things are absolutely remarkable for your daily lives. I think it's really amazing. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of an atmosphere for us to listen to a Theravada. So I'm going to start with my dream the other morning, which was quite interesting. What happens to me in the morning is I go into these unbelievable spaces in the morning, and I'm totally logged in there, tuned in there, doing everything I have to do. And then when I come out, I mean, it seemed so perfect I could understand. And when I come out and try and translate what I was doing, it makes no sense. So this is what happened to me the other morning, very lucid experience, but I'm now trying to understand it in terms of the teaching that I want to give you. So what happened was, I was reading this book with the text in called Being Guru Rinpoche by James Lowe. It's a very interesting book, okay? And then what would happen in my sleep state is, I would go into a short experience of being Guru Rinpoche. And then I would wake up, know I was being Guru Rinpoche, and then go back and experience it again and again and again and again and again. I just knew I was being Guru Rinpoche. No words to explain this dream. But when I was studying this that I was studying, I thought to myself, let me just look in this book and see if he's actually got any sentences on being Guru Rinpoche so I can make sense of my dream. There was nothing there, even though the whole book is about being Guru Rinpoche. So then it came to me, okay, Kath, no problem. When it came to me, what I was doing was, I was going into a state in which I exited my daily existence. So I was actually exiting Melanie and going into what is called being Guru Rinpoche. It doesn't mean you became Guru Rinpoche. It means you're going out of your drama of your life and being able to look at things. You stand outside yourself, and yourself is an experience of real freedom when you stand outside yourself. And then you realize that you're outside yourself, but you also realize that this life is just a temporary drama, and then we return to the drama. So you stand outside yourself, you look at your life, you see it's just a temporary drama, and then you come back to the drama. Why? Because the habit of who we think we are, which is Melanie, Tatiana, Henry, VM, whoever you happen to be, we go back because the habit is still stronger than the truth of the whole link with the Guru Rinpoche mandala. This is such an important thing, and it doesn't matter if you don't understand it. I just want to tell you that in this teaching, you have to stand outside of yourself in a way. And that's what my dream was all about, standing outside myself and then looking at what was really happening and seeing how ridiculous it is about the way we see things in life. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous the way we look at our lives. And Guru Rinpoche, in this beautiful treasure teaching, is trying to show us that nothing in our lives is solid, nothing is permanent. So I'm going to start with two cute little stories. I use them quite a lot because I think they really are interesting. So Naz Rudin was at a football game. He'd been shouting until halftime and he felt very thirsty. I'm going to get a drink of water, he told his friend. And one for me, said the friend. In a few moments, Naz Rudin came back. I tried to have a drink of water for you, but I found after I'd had my own drink that you were not thirsty after all. Now, if you look at that ridiculous story, it is so true, because how we look at everything is our own projection. Okay, what we see in our children, if you watch parents and children, they're ridiculous. You know, the mother will say, darling, go and get a jersey. It's very cold. And the child says, I don't feel cold. No, you need a jersey. It's cold. We project into all the situations of life. And actually, that's how we make the mistakes, because we aren't able to step outside ourselves and see people. And the other one, which I often use, this cute little story, is one day a young Buddhist on his journey home came to the banks of a wide river, staring hopelessly at the great obstacle in front of him. He pondered for hours on how he was going to cross such a wide barrier. Just as he was about to give up his pursuit to continue his journey, he saw a great teacher on the other side of the river. The young Buddhist yells over to the teacher, "Oh, wise one, can you tell me how to get to the other side of this river?" The teacher ponders for a moment, looks up and down the river and yells back, "But my son, you are on the other side." Okay, that's another one of those stories that I've chosen just to get the atmosphere, because I want you to see how you view things in your life, how you view obstacles, how you view what you're doing in your life, how you view absolutely everything. Now, this beautiful teaching comes from the Treasures from Juniper Ridge, from which this is a terma, and it is the third volume of questions and answers between Padmasambhava and his main students, especially Dakini Yeshe Tsogyal. Now, the first volume of this book, called the Dakini Teachings, primarily focuses on the foundational teachings like refuge, bodhicitta, deity and guru practices, okay? What I do from that book is I copy passages, I copy little prayers and things like that. Then I put them in my bathroom book, and that goes with me into the bathroom. And then I say them very often. I take a few of those while I'm in the bathroom getting dressed in the morning. And it's a lovely habit because you're always looking at stuff all the time. And that's the first volume. The second volume is called Advice from the Lotus Born, which is Guru Rinpoche, takes the teachings to a slightly deeper level. So this is where he gives instructions on the view, the meditation, and the conduct we need. And then the third volume, from which I've taken this, called The Treasures from Juniper Ridge, has most subtle and insightful guidance for all. And this is really for the more seasoned practitioner, with the emphasis on the view and a combination of conceptual and non-conceptual meditations based on the revealed termas, the termas I'm going to explain now, of the 12th terton. A terton is a person who finds the termas that have been buried, especially for all of us. And his name was Nyang Ral Nyima Ozer. Now, Eric Pema Kunzang, who wrote this, who translated this volume, says about it: I have incredible gratitude to Padmasambhava's compassionate brilliance in bestowing these inspiring and astounding teachings. To Yeshe Tsogyal, I have complete gratitude for devotedly recording and hiding them. To the Tertons, I have gratitude for revealing them. And to Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche for giving Eric the courage and encouragement to translate these teachings. And he says in a prayer in the book, by the power of Padmasambhava's marvelous activity and insight, may all beings connected to him gather in his presence in the copper-colored mountain realm of splendor. Now, when you really decide to do that, all of you, you will just feel that click of a connection. And when you get that click of a connection, you're in that mandala. And when you're in that mandala, you start to look at life in a completely and totally different way. And trust me, we really need to look at life in a different way. It's absolutely necessary. I'll give you lots of time to debate with me. So a little introduction to what a terma is by Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. He says, the astounding quality of terma teachings is that they are discovered at the exact moment they are needed in the world and totally appropriate for each specific generation, for each period of time, and for the individual person who meets them. So the people that are not here are not meeting this particular teaching, and all of you are. And the treasured teaching on Juniper Ridge of crystal pearls contains the essential meaning of hundreds of such instructions. It's very exciting when you think about it. And I say, ponder this. You need to expand your horizons tonight. Get out of your comfort zones and fly beyond. And really look at this teaching and see what it's really all about. Now, Yeshe Tsogyal had perfect memory. Can you imagine? I read something and I've got to read it about 1,000 times in order to remember it. And now that I'm going through all my teaching that I've done for all the years, it's just unbelievable because I can't believe there are things that I wrote that I don't even vaguely remember about. She had perfect recall. She never, ever forgot one word. Please, for my next incarnation. Okay, and she recorded all the teachings she received and concealed them to be found by the tertons. And who were the tertons? Sometimes they were Guru Rinpoche's own emanations. Sometimes they were found inside the mind of these tertons. So what these masters would do is they'd be born And when they were a particular age, suddenly they'd say, you know, there's something I've got to do, please write it down. And they would remember the terma because it was placed in their minds, or placed in oceans, or placed in riverbeds, or placed in mountains. Now, many people have seen the extraction of the termas, because when these teratons go, they make all these special prayers, and the mountain opens, and people see them taking it out, and it's hot, absolutely hot, and people witness to this. It's the most amazing thing. And what is in that teaching is totally appropriate. Like, for example, you know, Guru Rinpoche knew we'd need Tara teaching in this age. So the Tara terma was found about 100 years ago when it was really necessary on the earth plane, and has remained ever since. And so when you see these stage settings, there's Yeshe Tsogyal sitting at his feet, and she asks him questions like what we're going to learn tonight. What is the dividing line between love and hate? And then he gives the answer, and you actually understand what is the essence, difference between love and hate, between desire and pain, between all these sort of things. She asks him all these questions, and he answers them with instructions. And I want you to discuss what you get out of them, because you've got to think about them a lot, okay? And in Cam, Tulku Urgent Rinpoche says there is a saying, tell it all like a sack turned inside out. And in these treasures, Padmasambhava has turned his sack inside out, completely disclosing everything. And then Tulku Urgent Rinpoche says, there's a traditional perspective about samsara, about samsaric phenomenon. And this is what he says, just these 3 lines. First, non-existence is taught, non-existence. And the empty essence is explained. When something doesn't exist, does it mean there's no thing, nothing? No, there's something, but it's not what you think it is. So first, non-existence is taught, and the empty essence is explained. Next, existence is taught, and the cognizant nature is explained. And finally, the unity of existence and non-existence is taught. He says, this means that the essence and its nature are a unity within Rigpa awareness. So we need to gain stability in that awareness. Somebody said to me that I was counseling today overseas, said to me, but Melanie, because this person is always looking to the pessimistic outlook of whatever's happening to him, whatever's actually happening to him. So I'd always say, you know, this deal is coming through, but I'm not sure when it's going to come. And I wonder if it'll work. And I wonder if I'll have enough money for it. And I wonder if it'll go through. Always the pessimistic outlook. And he said, Melanie, it's who I am. I said, no, it's not who you are. It's your impermanent, habitual nature. That's not you. He said, but Melanie, you know, the but Melanie I always get. But Melanie, how do I change this? So there was a fan sitting on my desk. So I said, you see this tool? This is an awareness tool. This is awareness. Hold your tool of awareness and shine your light. So when you do it again and again and again, say, awareness, I'm doing it again. Stop yourself and bring yourself back to yourself. Stand outside a little bit. Stop yourself from always saying, yeah, but what if? Yes, but what if? Yes, I said, enjoy the moment. You are so busy planning for your future. You're not even enjoying what you've got. You've got so many lovely things. I mean, and it's unbelievable because that's the story of so many people. And I'm saying that when we look we've got to get that awareness. And he says, when we look deeply into this treasure, an amazing perception starts to dawn upon us. And I have to give you this background, otherwise you really can't understand. Oh, I better put this on if the lights are going to go off. And you have to get a really amazing perception. It starts to dawn within us, okay? We suddenly realize that we've already had everything awakened, is already inside us. It's spacious, it's full of everything we need. And then the next minute, duality sets in, and we forgot, and we move further and further and further away from the essence, the nature, which is a unity, and the unlimited capacity, which is compassion. And you know, when I read about first the essence, which is spacious and empty, the nature, which is the awareness and its unlimited capacity, when I learned this, and I learned, hey, this is how we operate in the world. It was the most amazing thing. And I really saw, this is how life is. And we've got to look at how life is. It's really important. And I found in my notes, I found this note from 1985. Now, if you start calculating when I wrote this, okay, it tells you my age, but it goes back a long way. It was in my Jungian days, you know, and I thought, this applies so beautifully to everything that I'm trying to teach tonight. I want you to have an excited atmosphere to learn the terma. If I pick it up, which I've got it recorded for you, and I just read it to you, there's absolutely no point. I want you to feel excited about understanding these things. So this that I found out from Carl Jung were two things. First, he had an encounter with an Indian Biano of New Mexico on his travels. This was in a lecture I gave like in 1985, okay? So he said, see, Otway Biana said, how cruel the white faces look. Their eyes are always seeking for something. They're always uneasy and restless. We do not understand them. We think they are mad. And Jung says to him, why is that? He says, because they think with their heads. Why, of course, said Jung, of course we think with our heads. What do you think with? We think here, said Otway Biana. We here, pointing to his heart. And I thought that was such a beautiful thing, because you can only understand these terms with that deep mind. And the other thing that Jung said, which was really interesting, was he said, if you take, in the same talk, if you take 20 pebbles, okay, and you put all the pebbles together, you weigh them, okay, and then you divide by 20, you'll get the average weight of the pebble. And the average weight is scientific. Each pebble will averagely weigh this. Yet maybe not one of those pebbles weighs that. And that doesn't tell you anything about the lining and the contours and the colors and the individuality of that pebble. We just take everything. We want an answer. We want it to be exactly like it is. And I think it's so important, because when we experience and we read Padmasambhava's instruction on the dividing line between things, love, hate, samsara, nirvana, all of these things, the experiences of, we either stuck or sold on the experiences of this life. And this life is referred to as this shore, and the others are referred to as the other shore. And so when we refer to this shore, we remain on the wheel of samsara with all its ignorance until one day, 1 year, one lifetime, we wake up from the dream, we wake up from the suffering, and we instantly on the other shore. Now Yeshe Tsogyal asks him, What's the dividing line between this shore and the other shore? And you've got to debate this with me. Marcel's got her pen there. She's got to really debate it with me because it's really important. And the beautiful story, which Rumi, the poet, said, he said, the great Persian poet Rumi had an extraordinary teacher named Shams. Even as a child, Shams seemed different. His own parents struggled whether to send him to a monastery or a village of fools. They did not know what to do with him. When he had grown, he told them the story of the duck's egg that was found by the hen and hatched. The hen raised the duckling with her other chicks. One day they walked to a lake. The duck went right into the water, swam and was diving in, and the hen stayed timidly on the shore. Shams said to his parents, "Now, father and mother, I have found my place. I have learned to swim in the ocean, even if you must remain on the shore." And he said, that's how it is. You've got to really, really learn to find a different view. That's why I'm giving you all this background before reading you the Terma, because it's really important. So when Yeshe Tsogyal asks Guru Rinpoche about the dividing line between hate and love, it starts us pondering, because both are feelings for another object. We're so glib about love and hate. But what is the love that we passionately feel for someone or something? Mostly for us, it's all about the ego. It's all about attachment. I want to own or possess this other object, even if it's a painting, even if it's a relationship. Don't look at anyone else. I want you. You belong to me. That's what we do with love. And also, what is this? Nothing belongs to us. And real love is totally without attachment. And have we ever experienced this? Because hatred is when someone or something pulls down your ego, your possession, your everything, and then they become the enemy. Neither are real. So what's the dividing line between love and hate? What's the essential difference? And it's like that cartoon that I always show you, and I won't show it tonight, but it goes, the guy goes, "I want happiness." And the monk comes, he takes down the sign of "I want happiness." He says, first we'll remove the I, then we'll remove the want, and what are you left with? Happiness. As soon as you've got the I want, you've got attachment. You've really got enormous attachment, and it's really important. And this treasure is about this, about all the ways we behave, how we think, all distorted, deluded, taking the solid I and self out of the picture and getting to the pith instructions, and strangely, suffering goes out the window. So maybe before I read anything, and then we'll do a meditation soon, but anybody want to say anything? Go on, Henry.
It's two very strong words, because we live by these words, love and hate. And I think at a higher level, or higher EQ level, or awareness level, we need to define these words, because sometimes you think someone hates you, and then afterwards, oh, you're all together again and you're all happy. So
Oh, you've just gone off. Just go back onto your sound.
Oh, sorry. I speak with my hands and then I press buttons. I think if you look at hate as perhaps indifference, you know, rather than the concept of hate, then you'll see that if you love, you can hate as well. it's almost the same thing, actually.
Absolutely. Why?
Yeah.
Why is it the same?
Because both you used the word enemies, but maybe in a different context a few minutes ago. Love has enemies and hate has enemies, and the enemy is attachment. So it's very difficult to to detach. But I think if you start realizing that these are very, very similar concepts, love and hate, it's almost the same thing. It's just how you react to it, respond to it, or choose to respond to it, that leads to the result of wherever you are right now, because of love and because of hate.
Yeah, and I like what Viam's saying, love and hate, attachment and aversion, or desire and aversion. It's true. But why don't we read what Padmasambhava says about it? I'll go right there. It's not right at the beginning. There are lots of others to do, but let's do it. Lady Tsogyal asked the lotus-born master, what is the dividing line? She always says the dividing line. And it's so interesting that she uses that terminology, because the dividing line is here. And I say to a lot of people when I'm dealing with them, if you cross that line up to here, it's normal, acceptable behavior. When you cross the line, it's crossing the line into some kind of psychopathology. And I think you're saying a certain thing over that line. So in other words, if you're angry with someone and you express it and you drop it, it's okay. But when you go on and on and on and on, perhaps there's a lot more that is happening there. But let's look at what he says. The master replied, listen carefully to his very pith instructions. Hate is loathing another object. Love is adoring another object. When applying this experientially to your own stream of being, now that's his sentence. When applying this experientially to your own stream of being. So he's not talking about some theoretical discussion. He's talking about when you apply it to your own stream of being. Look into the object that triggers hate and see that it is empty, devoid of any identity whatsoever. Look into the object that provokes compassion and see that it is also empty and does not possess any identity whatsoever. He says your hatred enemy is mind, and your beloved friend is also mind. Understanding that this mind is empty and not made out of anything whatsoever is the vital point of naturally dissolving love and hate. Tsogyal, this advice of utmost importance I give to you. Now, it is very interesting. Very interesting. What do you think of that? In other words, he's saying, and this is so important for all of you in your lives, that everything is a creation of your mind, how you see it, how you perceive it, what you put onto things. And mostly we just haven't a clue about love, not even about hate. People sometimes go to their death hating or resenting somebody, and take that with them in every way. Now, Clinton, unfortunately, is not here, obviously having load shedding, otherwise he would have been here, but he sent me this video, and I'm really happy to pass it on to any of you that would like it. It actually is an hour long, but it was something which I watched, which took me into a most exquisite state. It was the story of Garchen Rinpoche, and his whole life, he's still existing. He is a most really incredible master. And his life story, going to prison, being put in prison by the Chinese and then coming out. Anyway, why I think about him is, I have never seen another person smile more than this being. He is always smiling no matter what he says. And he has got love for all sentient beings. I have never experienced anybody with love like that. And Clinton will tell you he's had an empowerment from him, and he's actually met him in Arizona. But he sent this video. If any of you want it, I'm really happy to send it to you. But it was the most incredible video. It put me on a high. I couldn't fall asleep that night because I was on such a high from this man. With all his suffering, the love and the beauty that he gave out. But he never saw anybody. He never even had hatred to the Chinese for what they had done. He just had this determined will to do things. Now, what does Guru Rinpoche really, what is he saying about both of the object of your love and the object of your hate actually have no solid identity? So what are we spending our whole lives doing that for? Marcel, tell me what you think. I love your debates you have with me. Isn't it unbelievable that there's no real solid identity in something we hate and something we love? And I can say to you with absolute conviction that the people that really have harmed me in this life, that I would look at and it would be war, it's completely gone. I don't remember anymore. I don't want to remember. I actually don't feel that antagonism after I'll say what I want to say and then it's over, because it's all in your mind, and because what you are seeing in front of you is totally without any substance. How do we get to understand this? Mimi, what have you got to say?
I don't know. I think it's a difficult one to, I think I just say to myself, it's not what I think it is, and it's not permanent. And there's no, I say it in my mind till it will become more of a realization.
Okay.
It's difficult to get to it.
Yeah, but don't you think you get to it in an experience rather than in the mind?
Yeah, but I think it starts with and then you hope for the experience, and then the understanding and the realization. Because how do you initiate that experience?
But in this terma, Padmasambhava says it with everything. He says experientially applying it. Here he says, look into the object that triggers hate and see that it's empty, devoid of any identity whatsoever. And somebody will argue with him and say, what are you saying? Here's this ugly person in front of me. There's an identity there. How can you say there's no identity? There's an identity in front of me, someone that's ugly that I really dislike, I mean, he'll say that. But the bottom line is that it's really important to understand that none of this is solid and none of this has any identity. And he says, understanding that this mind is empty and not made out of anything whatsoever is the vital point of naturally dissolving love and hate. And why would he want us to dissolve love? The kind of love that we have is what he wants to dissolve. Not universal love, not brotherhood love, not a feeling of love like I watched with Garchen Rinpoche. Not that, but the love we have. You watched people, couples, how when they love, how the love is so possessive. And they tell each other what to do and how to do it. And whatever you do is not okay, and you become the enemy for those moments, or whatever the case is. Isn't it time to stop, Viam? What do you think? Leila, you'll go on.
You're saying like it's time to stop with the.
Just hang on, Layla, because now he's talking and then you. Okay, go on.
No, I'm just asking. Are you saying stop to? Yeah, I guess it all comes from identifying with this self, right? Because that's why we love or we hate, because it's all coming from this. I think that this is real and this experience is real, so I am offended, or I am, or I think I want that and I'll do what I need to get it, that type of thing. And I think it's tricky, but yeah, for myself, I just come back to like being fortunate that we found this, always come, like you said, like the whole time having that like before you were talking about that awareness that you tell the people, just try to come back to that the whole time.
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. But the thing is this, that you know what I think? I think as you get older, it becomes easier to not identify with your own self and see it as solid. It becomes easier because you're suddenly not looking anymore with vanity. You're not looking with the same, the same kind of things that you looked at an earlier age. You can kind of let go of this identity. I think the nearer you get to actually when you're going to leave this life, the more you are able, if you are spiritually aware, to kind of give up that identity. Sometimes I just stop and I go like, what am I doing here? What am I doing? What am I doing this for? And, it's just a complete waste. And suddenly you want to be doing just the essential things in life. You don't want to waste your one precious moment of that life anymore. Whereas when you're younger and you look in the mirror and you're gorgeous and you want to look at this and you want to do that and you're ambitious and all of these kind of things and what you're going to achieve, such a different thing. Like I watch Lama Yeshe, Rinpoche, when I see him at this age, he's a totally different person. When you used to sit with him, talked a lot and he'd interact. Now he just says very few words and the words are profound. It's like you lose that earthly identity. If you've really been doing a spiritual path for a long time, you lose that kind of, you lose that earthly identity, and then you can see that there's nothing there in actual fact. Layla, what did you want to say?
So I struggled with finding the dividing line between love and hate, because initially I thought, well, obviously there are a lot of similarities because they're both intense, but there are differences, and we need to kind of find out what they are and what the differences are. So I tried to find real life cases in my life of objects or people I hate and love. And I found that there is none that I really hated. And I wondered why. And I thought, well, maybe because hate is such a horrible feeling to have that you kind of just quickly let it go, whereas love makes you kind of feel good. And I thought, okay, who do I really love? And I thought of my mom and my daughter. And I thought, okay, does that fall in the attachment kind of category? And I've heard that, the ultimate letting go is letting go of your feelings for your children. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. It's a big ask.
You see, you're actually wrong in one thing. You don't have to let go of the love. You have to let go of the attachment. And in a way, I'm actually blessed that I've had that experience of having to let all my children go overseas and have grandchildren overseas and then go and see these beautiful grandchildren and then come back without them, and they're not next door, and we may not see them for another year. And you know, it's taught me the most wonderful lesson. It's not about whether you love them or whether you really care for them, but when they are away, when they leave home and they go away, you suddenly realize they don't belong to you. They've got their own lives, they've got their own places, they've got their own everything, and they definitely don't belong to you. So non-attachment is not loving. Non-attachment is you love them, but loving them, you can absolutely allow them to leave. And I think that's such an important thing, because you would find this really, really, the next one that Lady Tsogyal asked the Lotus-born master, what is the dividing line between desire and delight? Okay, desire and delight. And he replied, desire is to be attached to and yearn for a certain thing. Delight is when joy is produced in the mind. When you apply this experientially to your stream of being, look into the mind that feels desire and see that the delight when beholding an attractive object or piece of property is just an experience of pleasure. Desire and delight are both mind. Since this mind does not consist of anything whatsoever, that is the vital point of naturally dissolving desire and delight. Tsogyal, this advice of utmost importance I give to you. I mean, it just goes on and on and on like this. But what he's saying there is that if we are attached, then it definitely is desire. That love is desire. I want that person. I want to own them. I want them to be close to me. This is my child. I'm not going to let my child go. My child belongs with me. It's attachment and it's desire. And if we look into the mind that desires, why is it that as we get older, we desire less and less and less? Why is it that in youth, when we've got that energy, we just want and desire so much? And a lot of you will argue with me. So what's wrong with wanting? So what if you desire things? You go out and get them as long as you're not hurting anyone. But are you looking at it as empty, and that this desire will at some given point not give you that delight anymore? What's the dividing line? What's the difference between them? How much are we attached to the desire and the delight? When we look at something, do we only want all the good things and we're averse to all the bad things? Maybe when a bad thing comes into our life, or a difficult person or a difficult situation, maybe that's really when you know you're living.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when you know.
Mel?
Yes, please.
I think when it comes to love, as in, I'm talking about not loving children, but loving, someone, relationship. Listening to you, I'm going to try and put it in very simple words or advice or whatever. Don't fall in love, be in love.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
And what's the difference? Please give us a wise
difference. Because when you fall in love, you stumble into something and you attach, and that's what we all sometimes call graveyard love. I will love you till death. Don't fall in love, be in love. Experience it, approach it with awareness and compassion.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, I know so many men that are in love with their wives, and they restrict them doing half the things that that the wives want to do, because, they think this is the way. I bring in the money, you do what I want you to do and everything. But it's so important, this, Because when you start looking deeply, let's do a meditation, and then you can tell me which ones you want, because I think the one that is really interesting is, what is the dividing line between Buddhas and sentient beings? We are sentient beings. And what's the dividing line between samsara and nirvana? And what's the dividing line between unknowing and knowing? And what's the dividing line between mind and mind essence? And what's the dividing line? I mean, these are so fascinating, each and in between the ultimate and the relative. And what's the dividing line between this shore and the other shore? And what's the dividing line between dullness and wakefulness? And what's the dividing line between pain and pleasure? Such an important one. I mean, he goes on and on, between an enemy and one's child, between good and harmful action, you know, between gods and demons, between shamatha and vipassana, between valuable and worthless, between perceiver and perceived, between accepting and rejecting. We could do that one afterwards. There's just so many, and each one, he says, apply this experientially to your own being. So like tomorrow, when you are carrying out your actions, some of these things have got to come to light. Because what happens when you're at work and you're in a terrible situation, or you think you're going to be fired and you're really in trouble and you're really having a hard time? What's the divide? What are we learning? What's there? How do we see it as just another drama in our lives that's going to pass soon, and we'll get through it and out of it and over it, without attaching to the solidity of our pain, of our suffering, of everything? Let's do a meditation, and then I'll ask you just a short one. I just want you all to sit in your meditative posture and breathe in and breathe out. The most important thing about your in-breath and your out-breath is the spaciousness of this true nature. There is space for everything. And I want you to see this wide open space of the sky, full of everything, full of wakefulness, full of light, full of every possibility, full of awareness. As you breathe in, I want you to breathe in the full space of everything. And as you breathe out, I want you to breathe out all those toxic feelings of attachment, of anger, of hatred, of worry, of anxiety. Just breathe it out. Keep breathing in and out. Breathing in the space, breathing out all those feelings, those emotions, everything that is happening inside you, the movement in your being. Breathe it out into the space, into the openness. And as you look at this space and openness, it's aware, it's awake. It can move, it can be still. But we don't have to take ownership of it. We don't have to analyze. We don't have to plan. We don't have to decide. We don't have to do any of those things, conceptualize. We just allow everything to be as it is. And as you breathe in the spaciousness of everything that is. And as you breathe out, allow everything to just unfold. Let it or just be. And Lady Tsogyal asked the lotus-born master, what is the dividing line between thinking and non-thinking, non-thought? The master replied, thinking is to ruminate and to ponder. Non-thought is the absence of mental doing, to remain so that thought movements dissolve by themselves. When applying this experientially in your stream of being, no matter which type of thought arises, neither reject nor modify it. Instead, let it naturally clear, free of mental fabrication, as it has no concrete identity, no trace is left behind. This is called bringing thinking to the vital point of non-thought. Tsogyal, this advice of utmost importance I give to you. So without any strain in ruminating about the thoughts, without any strain, you just let it naturally clear, free of mental fabrication, until no trace is left behind. Whatever it is, pain, suffering, trying to come to terms with things, feelings, just let them all dissolve, with no trace left behind. Does this start to make any sense at all? Let's do one or two more and then throw it open, and we won't do too many tonight. But she asks, what is the dividing line between Buddhas and sentient beings? The master replied, Tsogyal, that which we call Buddha refers to the perfection of wisdom and compassion after unknowing is clear. Now, he often uses the word unknowing. We never use the word unknowing. Unknowing is such a beautiful word because it means without knowing. Unknowing means without knowing. He says a sentient being comes about, and let's discuss this sentence, because of failing to realize that unknowing is unknowing. Let me read that again. A sentient being comes about because of failing to realize that unknowing is unknowing. What does that mean?
Well, I think it means that because we're so deluded, we don't even know that we don't know.
Exactly that, precisely. So a sentient being is because we fail to realize that unknowing is unknowing. So the difference lies in knowing or unknowing, he says. When applying this to your stream of being, look into your thinking mind and see that this mind is empty and does not consist of any identity whatsoever. Seeing and realizing that its manifold wakeful aspect is self-display is the vital point of naturally purifying a sentient being into a Buddha. Tsogyal, this advice of utmost importance I give to you. Now, here I can really use the example of what happens to you when you go to the border of becoming, the final border, when you take all your imprints, all your karma. That would be the time in your life when you face your karmic records, but you don't face them with someone reading off, you know, Melanie, you did this and this and this, and this is the consequence of what you're doing. No, you see it in front of you. Sometimes it's wind, sometimes it's storms, sometimes it's hurricanes, sometimes your own creations are in front of you. Now, when you think about it, what is the advice that is given in the bardos? It goes, oh, please, beloved holy being, do not see any substance in this. Even if somebody comes in that bardo and tries to kill you, they'll cut your body in half and then you can put it together again. It's not real. Now, how do we get to understand that everything in our life is not solid, it's not real, it's actually just coming out of our minds? And when you're in the bardo, you see it in front of you, in front of your mind. So tell me, how do we get this unknowing into knowing? Kathy, what you answered was perfect, but what are we going to do about it? Any suggestions, Kati?
If we keep trying to wake up, we need, it's changing the habits again and again and again, and living in the moment. So if you because I read a quote by I can't remember the name now, but he was saying everything in the whole path comes down to this: living in you live in the now. And I can find the quotes. Because I put it on Facebook.
But
I can find it.
Yeah, but you see, what are you saying? What does it mean? Because, you know, some people say you must live in the now, and then they're so busy living in the now, they don't realize they're grasping the now.
Yes.
I mean, how do you live in the now, but it just passes you by? Like a train passing scenery, the now passes you by, because what is now, in half a second, it's going to be the past.
Yes.
And people, I see lots of people that learn about the now. I'm so busy putting the blankets on these dogs in case they should be cold. You know, these two doggies here with me. Joss isn't here, so I keep on putting blankets on. They get up, they drink water, they come down. That's like our minds, okay? But Kathy, some people are so busy grasping onto the now and saying, I'm in the now, the past is gone, the future hasn't been made, and I'm in the now. But that's no use. You need to be in the fourth time. The fourth time isn't the past, it isn't the present, it isn't the future. It's beyond this time.
Yes, brilliant.
And so I started to say, my dream, I mean, how did I go in a dream and say, I'm being Guru Rinpoche? And then I came out, and then I saw the whole dream, and then I went in again, and I was, what was I actually doing? I was actually in the dream, stepping outside of myself, viewing it as it really, really is, not as my little distorted sentient being mind grabs onto it. And how do we get there? What is the route? How do we get there? Can we just keep on saying, every time we're in unknowing, can we keep on saying, I'm now in unknowing? Can we take the awareness tool and say, I'm in unknowing? Or is it too hard? I'm waiting for your great philosophy.
So I'm not sure, with this logic, if someone hears you. No, I'm just thinking, like, you've spoken quite a lot about that. What's his name now? That one Rinpoche, I had to listen to him yesterday. The one that you, with the D, Jongsar Khyentse. And it was talking about. It was just a short little video about. It's like if you have this, if you sense, or you become aware that you have this unease, with like samsara, or even if you don't know that word or that terminology, but you kind of have this sense that there's nothing to gain here. That's actually a very fortunate thing, very fortunate thing to have this, because that's what you need to have this samsara, and to want to progress, or to want to go on a spiritual path. And then this thing that you're talking about, this unknowing, is like, obviously, myself, I don't totally have that knowing, because then I would be enlightened, fully aware that I'm fully enlightened the whole time, so I get these glimpses, like it's in and out, and then that habit of identifying with me as me, with that illusion type of thing, kicks in again. But like, because I can see it, because I have those, like in these teachings, I have these experiences and I have these realizations in my practice, and I have that unease. I'm coming to know that there's no dream job or dream person that's going to fulfill you, or what this samsara tells you, that this thing of like refuge, like flee to take refuge in the Dharma, take refuge in your practice, take refuge in, like, surround myself as much as you can with teachings and with people who are on the same path, like trying to direct my life as much as possible, to put myself in the best position to go in that direction, which is the opposite of the unknowing,
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think that you've got to go, and with your little guitar, you've got to compile a doha, that's a spiritual song, on unknowing versus knowing. I think you've got to compile a song for us, and then we'll all learn the song. You play it on the guitar and teach it to us. We'll put it on the board, and then we've got to learn the song of knowing and unknowing, to remember about because he says, how do sentient beings, they don't realize that unknowing is unknowing. They think they know it all, and that's like Jung's thing of the pebbles. I mean, if you've got the average weight of a pebble, does it mean you know the pebble? I mean, does it mean you know this stone has got a brown contour, this one's got a little thing that goes, you don't know any of that. So how can we say we know it? We know it and we get it. And I think that, yes, please.
Can I read that quote that by Mingyu Rinpoche? Because it's such a good reminder for me, because see, I already forgot. So he says, the key points of the entire path, Mingyu Rinpoche, you may have heard me say this before, but it is the key point of the entire path, so it bears repeating. All that we are looking for in life, all the happiness, contentment, and peace of mind is right here in the present moment. Our very own awareness itself fundamentally is pure and good. The only problem is that we get so caught up in the ups and downs of life that we don't take time to pause and notice what we already have.
Absolutely true. And that's what I was saying to this guy today. Just stop for a minute. Stop worrying about what's going to happen in 4 months' time. It doesn't matter at the moment. What you've got, you've got. And I watch people who lose people suddenly. Then they had everything before and they didn't know they had it. So I think that's excellent. Really, I do. And I just want to read you this one, where she asks him, what's the dividing line? Because it follows from what we're saying, between unknowing and knowing. And this is what the master answered. Unknowing. Now it's so interesting because in Tibetan, unknowing is called ma rikpa. So rikpa is awareness. Ma rikpa is unknowing. Ma rikpa is not to know the main substance of mind. Not to know the main substance of mind. Knowing, or rikpa, is to see the basic substance of mind. When applying this to your own stream of being, look into this natural state, the basic substance of your mind that is lucid, quiet, and vividly awake. Simply seeing the mind in this way is the vital point of naturally clearing the unknowing. Tsogyal, this advice of utmost importance I give to you. Now, just to say that when Guru Rinpoche says this advice of utmost importance, he's saying, take note of it. And all he's saying here is, if you can look into your mind and not see mind as the thing that conceive things, perceive things, decide things, analyze things, conceptualize things. If you can see mind as absolutely lucid, quiet, and vividly awake, and that's if you just take 1 minute in your day to stop going after things, this pain I'm feeling, this terrible thing I'm feeling, this great thing I'm feeling. If you just stop for a minute, there it is. But we never stop. We really don't. So there are so many things here. I mean, there are so many beautiful things to learn from the enemy and the child and the good and the harmful action and dullness and wakefulness. But we can go on to all of this next time, because I think I don't want to. All right, let me just do last one. What's the dividing line between samsara and nirvana? It's quite an interesting one. And he says, samsara, circling, is to spin from one place to another. Isn't that just what we've been saying? Samsara is to circling. The word samsara means circling. It's to spin from one place to another. It's like on that wheel of life. Nirvana is to have cut through the circling. He says, when applying this in your own stream of being, see that the basic state of your mind is a self-existence that never arises and is untainted by flaws of materiality. When you see this, then there's no place to circle. Samsara is cleared, purified from the beginning. Samsara being cleared, purified from the beginning, it's called nirvana. This is the vital point of naturally purifying samsara into nirvana. Tsogyal, this advice of utmost importance I give to you. So every time you go back over and over and over what you're going through, and you go back and you go back and you go back and you reanalyze it and you rephrase it and you redo it. Every time you do that, you are circling in samsara. What does it mean to cut through? It means pick up your tool of awareness and realize I'm doing it again. I'm circling again. I'm going over and over and over and over this again and again and again. And with awareness, withdraw, come to a quiet state and give yourself time. Somebody said to me today that they were newly pregnant, not feeling very well, and that they felt very anxious and very unwell. And I said, you know, maybe that is what happens to people when you're going to have a baby and you're not sure and you don't know how it is and you feel anxious and you don't feel that well. I said, what I'm trying to tell people is just stand outside of yourself for a moment in your day. Breathe in, breathe out. Take in the whole of the spaciousness and see that it doesn't matter if there's anxiety, doesn't matter if there's unwellness. It's like Garchen Rinpoche said in this video. Someone said, Rinpoche, you have to rest. Your body's in pain. You can't go on like this. He says, as long, with his little prayer wheel, as long as I am helping sentient beings and serving them and teaching them, I am happy. Doesn't care about the body, doesn't care about the food, doesn't care about anything. He just cares about looking at beings and waking them up out of unknowing. What a thing to do in your life. Anyway, the fact that a lot of you have managed to stay while lots have been bumped off is really good. So if we can dedicate, Fiona, did you have load shedding tonight?
No, I didn't. That's still on. Everything's still on. So I don't know what's going on.
I don't know what's going on because I had this extra light on so that if shedding came on and actually nothing went off at all. So I suppose we're very lucky. It might have been Guru Rinpoche.
Maybe it was, yes.
So let's dedicate to all sentient beings who are in darkness and unknowing. All the people in the wars that have lost people, all the people that are suffering really, really greatly. Through this merit, may we achieve all-seeing Buddhahood, and thereafter, once all harmful enemies have been defeated, may all beings be liberated from the ocean of existence, stirred by the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Sunam die tamche zipane topne nepe dranam pamshene jeganachi balap topaye sipe sole doadro warsho. So if anybody wants to ask anything, I'm very happy